actually, Alejandro does.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Diane Lang. My pronouns are she and hers. Holland Dvorak and I are your worship assistants this morning with special assistance from Lyra Lewis. Welcome to all who are here in this sanctuary and all who are joining us online. Please wave to our neighbors online, our beloved who are joining us. Welcome also to Pastor Darren Utley, who is our worship leader on the second Sunday in October. The color red represents life, strength, the earth, and spiritual power. Red is used by some to call upon their ancestors. Red can be used as a sacred, powerful symbol. For Native people in Canada and the United States, a red hand over the mouth, or red dresses or red shawls are a symbol of their movement to honor their missing relatives whose voices have been silenced. The red hand stands for that silencing and also for the resiliency and the oppression of Native women and their other family members. As Lyra Lewis lights the red candle, let us honor this color and the ways that we can work for greater justice. Let us remember that our church is to be a community of hope, one that challenges us to transform ourselves, promote love and justice, respect all faiths, and shepherd our planet.
Bazo, hello in Ojibwe, and hello. Oh, my name is Holland. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a white woman with medium-length brown hair, wearing a black t-shirt, a pink sweater with dangly earrings. As we honor the wisdom of our indigenous people and explore our shared values within the hoop of life, we also celebrate the promise of our UU faith and shared values. All of us who we are is welcome in our co-created sacred space. Together, we journey towards wholesome by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. As a people committed to the work of justice, we covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We unite in solidarity with all those who are being marginalized, rejected, silenced, and kept fully from being who they are. Our theme today is the hoop of life, connecting shared values of compassion, gratitude, and love. With hearts and minds open to the message, let us worship together.
Lights our chalice. Please join me in reading the 8th principle, land acknowledgement, in your program order of service. We recognize that the land our church occupies is within the traditional lands of the Ho-Chunk and within areas inhabited after 1650 by the Potawatomi, Menominee, and other nations. And we acknowledge that this land was taken by deception and by force by white colonist settlers and the United States government. We live at the Kipakawi, the junction of the Root River and Lake Michigan, so named because of the roots that clogged the waterways. We vow to remember this history and to work to dismantle the white supremacy that is our legacy. We pledge to become allies with those indigenous peoples who survived the genocide and to support their treaty rights, their quality of life, and to honor their many contributions to our lives.
Doug Goodfeather is a Native American Lakota brought up in the Standing Rock Indian Reservation in South Dakota. In his book, Think Indigenous, Native American Spirituality for a Modern World, Goodfeather explores how energy flow is the universal energy that moves all things, seen and unseen. Native people might call this sacred movement or spiritual movement. The hoop of life represents this spiritual energy flow. Doug Goodfeather explores how water is sacred and the first medicine. The sound of water is literally the sound of the universe. Water is a healer, a teacher, and a source of all life. We give special welcome this morning to Amy Hernandez-Mack, an enrolled Lipan Apache, and her husband, David Mack, who is joining us. David is a White Earth Ojibwe descendant, and we appreciate both of them being here today. Amy is a singer and a music educator, along with being a mother and a grandmother. Thank you for sharing your time and talent with us today. She's going to be introducing the song she'll be singing.
OBUUC, Ninoshko Benesik Nindijnakas. I greeted you in Ojibwe, my husband's language. Unfortunately, I do not know my Lipan Apache language. My mother is European, Italian, Lithuanian. There's some other things too when you do that 23andMe, holy cow. But the gist of it is Italian, Lithuanian. And on my father's side, my grandparents were born in Coahuila in Zacatecas, Mexico, and descend from Otomi tribe. But I am enrolled in the Lipan Apache tribe because it just kind of conglomerates a lot in that way. I don't want to say conglomerates, but there's a lot of colonization there and all that. So, OBUUC, I speak greetings in the Ojibwe language, this their land too. And I wanted to share a song by Ojibwe grandmother Doreen Day, who on drives to drop her grandson off to school, they would greet the water that they passed every day by saying, "We love you, water. We thank you, water. We respect you, water." And it became a tradition for her and her grandson to do that because she was so impacted by a conference she had attended with Dr. Emoto, in which he had said the least that you can do every day is speak to water, if there's anything you do. And then over time, her grandson said, wouldn't it be nice to sing this? And so the song I share is the one that the melody that came to her, the words that came to her, and this is Doreen Day's song. And it's our way to acknowledge always, where these stories and these songs come from. You should also know that she has given permission for all to sing this song. So you can find it on, I think it's motherearthwaterwalk.org, if you feel so inclined to learn it and to sing it to our fresh water over there. Oh, my apologies. I'm so used to grabbing a drum. This song, according to Doreen, is not sung with shaker or drum. Nebe gizageigu gimigwechawe nimigu gijawe nimigu Nebe gizageigu gimigwechawe nimigu gijawe nimigu Nebe gizageigu gimigwechawe nimigu gijawe nimigu Nibe gizageigu gimigwechawe nimigu gijawe nimigu Migwechaho.
And now it's time for the message for all ages. So if all the children and those young in heart can come on forward. So the book I'm going to read for you this morning is called We Are Water Protectors, written by Carol Lindstrom and illustrated by Michaela Goad. Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. We come from water. It nourished us inside our mother's body, and it nourishes here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land. Spoil the water, it'll poison the plants and animals, wrecking everything in its path. So is that a snake? Now what is that? Yeah, it's a steel pipe. So that's a pipe that carries oil across the United States. And when it leaks, the oil comes out and then it pollutes the water in the land. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together. To stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, lakes, the earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nokomis told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in the fight for its life. So a bunch of Native Americans around the area where the oil was coming down through a pipeline were refusing to let people put a new pipeline through there. So they got together and were trying to stop that. And the adults are going to learn about that later in the service. And now it's time for the children's blessing. We are blessed. We are blessed by being here. We are blessed by being here together.
We now have a special guest, Ireland Byrne, who actually I don't know, so I hope she's here. Oh, that's you, good. Come on up, and she's going to be sharing with us her experience. She's a member of Sacred Journey, and she was a part of a youth group that went out to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation this last summer. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Ireland. I'm 12 years old. This past summer, I went on a mission trip to Pine Ridge Reservation with 4 other youth members from Sacred Journey. Pine Ridge is one of the largest reservations, consisting of 3.5 thousand square miles in South Dakota, and is home to the Oglala Lakota tribe. Our group traveled by van to get to the reservation. One of the first things we noticed was that there was virtually no businesses, not on much of the land. We drove through multiple towns, and there were no grocery stores, no Walmarts, no fast foods, no theaters, no stores, not a lot of schools or playgrounds. I remember thinking, what do kids my age do here? We volunteered through a group called Remember. Remember is an independent, not-for-profit organization. Their mission statement is, responding to immediate needs, we provide resources that improve the quality of life for our members on the Oglala Lakota Nation. We create meaningful opportunities to build understanding for our volunteers. Their vision statement is, we remember the past so we can build a better tomorrow with the Oglala Lakota natives. Remember's efforts are funded by private donors and guided by the tribe's elders, who are generous with their wisdom as culture speakers, community leaders, and builders of understanding. The structure of Remember missions are 3 days of working and 2 days of culture education to the volunteers. Each day includes wisdom, where we as volunteers learn about life on the res. Each evening we had tribe members come to provide education and cultural awareness of history. Living conditions on Pine Ridge Reservation are poor, with extreme poverty. Reports of over 80% or up to 97% of the population live below the federal poverty line. They have as high as 90% unemployment rates. Residents have unsustainable housing, often lacking electricity, running water, and proper sewage. The reservation has the lowest life expectancy in the U.S. With health issues like high rates of TB, diabetes, alcoholism, and suicide, as well as limited access to quality health care. The Battle of Wounded Knee occurred on Pine Ridge. The military had banned the ghost dance, an important spiritual movement, and soldiers were attempting to disarm Lakota refugees when a gun discharged. U.S. soldiers opened fire on a camp of surrendered Lakota men, women, and children, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of people. This event is a powerful reminder of the U.S. government's violence against Native Americans and is a site of remembrance for the Lakota people. While on our trip, we were able to visit the site of the massacre of Wounded Knee. There were multiple jobs that we worked throughout the week. Crews rotated through different sites so that each crew got to experience different projects. The work consisted of building wheelchair ramps, building an outhouse, digging and installing an outhouse, and skirting a trailer. Skirting or uppining helps to keep trailers warm in the winter and cool in the summer. We also worked at the garden. At the garden, there were multiple longhouses, similar to greenhouses, to grow crops. With limited grocery stores on the res, most of the res is considered a food desert. The crops are given away to the community members with recipes and education on how to prepare the fresh produce. Remember recently acquired a mobile food truck to get the fresh produce out to the community. Life on the res gets even more challenging in the winter. As the weather gets colder, families struggle to keep their families warm during the brutal winters and often have to resort to building fires to heat their home. They use what they can find, sometimes needing to use the wood from their beds, wheelchair ramps, furniture, clothes, books, and whatever else they can find. Remember staff turns to a firewood delivery service in the winter to help families stay warm. There are some ways you can help. Volunteers, Remember takes volunteers of ages 12 and up. No building experience is required, as their staff trains you to construct for the construction work that you do. Visit the Remember website, remember.org, that accepts donations of money and materials. They even have an Amazon wish list to make it very easy to send them supplies. Research. The history of Pine Ridge and the Native American history. Native Americans and the U.S. government have a long history that results in hundreds of broken treaties. Share what you learned with others. I enjoyed my week at Pine Ridge. I learned a lot and looked forward to going back this summer or next summer.
Thank you, Ireland. There are many ways that we give to the life of our church, and our monetary offering is just one of those ways. Each month, we partner with a local organization that is doing the good work in our community, and we share the money we gather. Our partner for the month of October is the Ostara Initiative, Wisconsin Prison Birth Project. This is a women-founded, women-led nonprofit that supports pregnant people and parents within the prison system. They help build parenting skills, heal intergenerational trauma of incarceration. Information about how to donate can be found on the back of your order of service or on their website or our website. Thank you, as always, for your generosity.
So beautiful. Thank you. Part of being in community is sharing our lives with each other. When we gather, we bring with us the joys and the sorrows that are on our hearts, and being here reminds us that we do not have to hold them alone. If you have a joy or sorrow that you would like to speak out loud at the mic, you are invited to come forward first now, or you are invited to raise your hand and we will bring a microphone to you. When the spoken joys and sorrows are complete, those who wish to come up and just light a candle are welcome to do so. Just a reminder that our service is streamed online, so sharing at the mic can be heard by the larger community beyond these walls. Please come forward.
I would like to say, light a candle, please, and thank you for Ireland for the wonderful job that she did, and thank you also to her parents for bringing her here.
Hi, I'm Joyce Firebaugh, and I have a joy today, and I wish I had the poise of that 12-year-old. I don't. I have a joy that yesterday in Milwaukee there was a walk for the American Foundation of Prevention for Suicide. Thank you. I knew I'd mess that up. It was a wonderful experience, and thanks to you people who contributed so well to Ruth. Max's team, Max was my grandson, as most of you know. Max's team rated in one of the top 6 numbers for fundraising. And Ruth, this is my second joy. She didn't want me to say this, but I'm going to. Ruth came in second for raising the most money for the walk. And so she was honored in front of thousands of people yesterday at Veterans Park. So give Ruth, my hero, a big hand.
Wendy McKelvey. I have a joy that I've had this surgery and been kind of incapacitated for quite a while. But yesterday, I was able to get on my tractor and, well, I've been on it a few times, but we had a big project for the Conservancy of dragging buckthorn out of the woods and getting rid of it so that we can, little seedlings of oaks and maples can thrive. And I was able to help by driving the tractor and taking the refuse to a place where we could dump it. That felt good.
Ruth Bradford Johnson, she, hers. So thank to all of you. Last Sunday was moving day for Todd's team in the Parkinson's Foundation. Almost 100 of Todd's neighbors gathered at their home, and they donated about $1,600 last Sunday to the over $17,000 that Todd's teams raised. And that's many, many, many of you on Todd's team. So many of you donated to this overwhelming total. Todd's doing well after his deep brain stimulation surgery this summer, and we are grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jay. He, they, pronouns, please. I have a joy and a sorrow. The joy is that my husband and I had our anniversary not last Friday, but the Friday before. We've been together for 9 years and married for 5, so that's pretty cool. My sorrow is last Sunday I found out my grandfather has Alzheimer's through Facebook instead of my family actually telling me. He's got stage 5. He doesn't remember me, and I'm assumingly not my sibling either. So that kind of I've been dealing with that for like a week.
Mary Beth Selke. It was a joy to hear Amy sing again. I'm one of her fans, and thank you, Ireland, for what you said too. I'm here as another joy, but kind of a sorrow too. Traviance Witherspoon, a young, wonderful poet and singer, just 18, graduated from Park High School, is now the Miss Racine Elite, and she is going to be going for the national competition. And she doesn't have any organization supporting her. And I thought it would be wonderful if you would agree that we could list OBUU. Unfortunately, she's at a fundraising event this morning, but she helped at Root River yesterday, and she's just wonderful. So I'd like to have OBU, your permission to support her in this. She'll be leaving for the national competition on Wednesday. So thank you, and see me at coffee hour, and we can talk about it. So thank you.
Did anyone wish to come up and just light a candle? We will light one more candle for the joys and sorrows that are on the hearts of our beloveds online. Join us in singing There Is a Love.
Hello, Pastor Darren Utley, he, him pronouns. Good to be with you again. I'll just try to stay behind the mic. So see the other one there. Yeah. I want to start with a reading. This is a reading from a book called The Red Deal, Indigenous Action to Save Our Earth. It was written by a group called The Red Nation. They got a podcast and a bunch of other things. I encourage you to find them and hear about them every once in a while. Listen to them. This comes in a section called Heal Our Planet, and it is speaking from Indigenous perspective about returning land. Our land, air, and waterways are polluted from capitalist endeavors, government mismanagement, and militarization. Traditional caregiving and sustainability do not disrespect or cut kinship with our water, land, air, and other than human relatives. Our mountain relatives are under military control and have been contaminated with nuclear waste and radiation. From contaminated water to contaminated animals and plants and even the clay we use. This has affected every corner of life and our ability to sustain our relatives. This catastrophic offense will take years beyond our generation's lifetimes to clean and restore. Having control over our ancestral territories is vital to our ability to care for them and is a generations-long pathway to true sustainability. Only when land is restored and returned can we begin to rebuild our economies and our nations with true sovereignty. Having a say in how the land is cared for would allow us to reassert our relations with the land and with our non-human relatives, which is the basis upon which indigenous people define their nations and sovereignty. I want to share two stories that come from my partner, who is a third grade teacher. So the first story is they are studying the waterways of this area. And they're actually studying Racine and its waterways and all kinds of interesting things. They're raising some trout. It's kind of fun. But anyway, the other day my wife had to purchase some wading boots. They were going out into the stream. She took the kids out into a stream here nearby, and she was telling me about just wading into the stream, seeing the fish, kind of watching the wind blow around, and just talking to the kids about turbidity and all kinds of interesting things about water. But she was saying how in that moment, just having the kids there and just seeing fish swimming and listening to the water, it was just such an experience, so different than their everyday, that it was really, really moving to her. Later that afternoon, and this is not well, maybe I'll leave that part. Later that afternoon, someone came to speak with them about the origins of the city of Racine. And maybe it was just the contrast between being in the stream earlier that day, but the person was talking about Gilbert Knapp, who was one of the first people to settle here and have a permanent settlement back in the mid-1800s. And this historian, let's call her, this historian was telling the story of Gilbert Knapp, and that basically he had traveled he was a ship merchant, and so he had traveled around the Great Lakes many times and had seen the mouth of the Root River where it came out into the lake, and thought to himself, I could make some money over there someday. You know, that would be a nice place for a town. At the time when he was sailing around early on, this was before the lands were ceded, which you already read that, wasn't a voluntary process necessarily, the cessation of lands. But after that happened, there was supposed to be a certain time period before the lands were ceded, and then there was, like, the indigenous people here were given some period of time, basically, to realize that white people were coming. But Gilbert Knapp landed on the shores at the time when he was, technically allowed to start settling. He paid $3,000 for 160 acres on the mouth of the Root River, which this woman said was about $300,000 today, which $300,000, that's, I think my house is worth more than $300,000 right now. And even then, the legality of what he did was under question, for a number of years. But he got away with it anyway. Became a famous merchant. He was a state representative early on in the state government. Became a fairly wealthy man. Lived here the rest of his life. But I tell you that story because Gilbert Knapp, I don't know all of his life. He maybe was a fine, upstanding gentleman. I don't know, what the rest of his story was. But the thing I think is important to know is that when he saw the land, what he saw was a possession. He saw that he could buy some property, that he could make some money, he could own something, and it would do him some good, and maybe his friends some good. He never thought about actually belonging to the land, to seeing the land as something that you might be possessed by, even, that it might be something you would be in relationship with. I say that to us today because I end up standing here talking to you because it's my normal scheduled, rotation to be here at the second Sunday of the month, and it just so happens to be the day before Indigenous Peoples Day, and I don't have any necessarily, right to speak to you any any more than anyone else. But I do know that I am a descendant of European people, and let me tell you, there's a great mix of, when I look at my ancestry, there's all kinds of fun. Basically, every European got involved in getting me here today. Yeah. But I know that this has been a mentality, a history, a current reality that we, as Europeans here in this place, have still not overcome. We still see the land around us as property that we might possess, or that property that other people possess that we wish that we possessed, like they do, because they've got more property or better property than us. We've never come to a place of thinking of this land as a place that we might belong to with our relatives from wherever they come from, our non-human relatives, our water relatives, and everything. And until we begin to think that way, until we cure ourselves of thinking of the world around us as parcels to be split up, as property to own, the world around us is going to stay the way that it is. Before I read another little section from this, I just want to mention a couple things. I would ask, this close to Indigenous Peoples Day, I wore my keffiyeh today. Just please remember the indigenous people of Palestine. There is, a supposed ceasefire. The terms look more like surrender. It's, you could call it a treaty, that's being organized. And until aid gets in, until the people there can get back to being the people of that land, we're in trouble. The other indigenous people I'll mention, since I mentioned them last month, are the people of Venezuela, who were deeply insulted recently by a right-wing person trying to give away all of their minerals and property and oil and everything over to private investors from this country, was given the Nobel Prize. Anyway, so keep them in your prayers as they seek to, democratically and sovereignly be the people of their land, while others try to steal their stuff and give Nobel Prizes to people encouraging it. All right, that's my little, sorry, I got to get a little political jabs in every once in a while. I want to just finish by reading another section from this book. And I know I don't claim to be any better at this than any of us, of doing what I'm asking you to do. So just, you all know that I venture into hypocrisy all the time. But I'm asked to talk up here, to tell you things. So I'm going to tell you things. This section is from the introduction called Land Back, which, if we acknowledge that this land was a land that was formerly cared for and sustained by the indigenous people of this land, and we look at where this land is now, perhaps we might think about what it would mean to return the land to the sovereignty of the people who seem to care for it much better than us. But anyway, just a thought. The best forms of environmental policy come from the bottom up, and momentous change only happens with the might of a people's movement behind it. In North America, change begins with the land, one of the primary sources of both wealth and inequality. As Dina Gilo Whitaker from the Colville Confederated Tribes argues in her book, As Long as Grass Grows, settler state conservation policies stem from protecting slivers of nature by killing and removing indigenous peoples from the land to create nature preserves, national and state parks, and public lands. Under Trump's administration, millions of acres of this land were open to oil and gas extraction, threatening indigenous sacred sites and surrounding communities. But private land ownership has been equally devastating. The Homestead Act of 1862 carved up 270 million acres of indigenous territory for white settlers. The invaders pulverized buffalo skulls into fertilizer for their plots, the sacred animals slaughtered by the millions to near extinction to starve indigenous peoples off the land. Once cleared and settled, homesteading produced wealth for generations of white settlers, while Black, Native, and non-white people were categorically excluded. Where there weren't crops, industrial feedlots and grazing pastures for cattle replaced open-range buffalo herds. Today's large-scale industrial farming raises ethical questions not about how these animals die, but how they live. Today, white settlers own 96% of all agricultural lands and 98% of privately owned land in the United States. In 1970, Vine Deloria Jr. candidly spelled out the problem and even suggested a solution to North American settlers. It just seems to a lot of Indians that this continent was a lot better off when we were running it, he wrote in the New York Times. Perhaps liberal-minded readers of that era thought it was clever wordplay, the posturing of a red power militant, attention-grabbing sloganeering, but not a serious political demand. To the original people of this land, it was truth and prophecy. No society can ever have an ethical relationship to a place it stole. And today, Deloria's words sound more like rational environmental policy than militant jargon when compared to what has been on offer. A drive it like you stole it mentality, or more accurately, a live on it like you stole it attitude.
these hills where I roam, I hear a voice deep in my bones. I am a stranger no more. A few months ago, my husband and I had the opportunity to go to a workshop, a conference, to get acquainted with plant relatives, when you talk about relatives. And there were students, some even biology students from UW-Madison. But there were people there. It was open to everybody. It was a non-Indigenous gathering through Moonwise Herbs and Driftless Folk School in Viroqua. And some students of a local college, not UW-Madison, but a local college, under the teaching of Justice Greiner, who has since walked on, a person I've not met, sang that song. And it was powerful after 3 days of acquainting ourselves with our plant relatives, because we all kind of went in, I know I did, with the expectation of, tell me what that plant can give me. How can that heal me? What can I use that for? And by the end, we had that mindset of reciprocity and that we should be getting to know our plant relatives. And I asked the organizer of that event, Linda Conroy, I asked her, do you think it would be okay if I shared that song? It's not an Indigenous song, although I do hear 4 drum beats in it in my own head, which I will add. And I said, do you think I could teach it to people? And she said, I don't see why not, so long as you always, just like in our Indigenous way, say where you learned it from. So I learned it by attending a plant identification conference workshop at Driftless Folk School in Viroqua, and the students of Justice Greiner sang it for us. So I'm going to sing it, and it is an echo. And when we get to that part, deep in my bones, that is not an echo. That is everybody singing together. Deep in my bones, I am a stranger no more. Are you ready? Okay. And on this land, that's the echo part where you come in. And on this land where I belong, and through these hills where I roam, there you go. I hear a voice. Together. Deep in my bones, I am a stranger no more. Let's try that again. And on this land where I belong, and through these hills where I roam, I hear a voice deep in my bones. I am a stranger no more. And one more time. And on this land where I belong, and through these hills where I roam, I hear a voice deep in my bones. I am a stranger no more.
Dr. Lila June Johnston is an educator, a poet, and a musician with the Navajo and Cheyenne lineages. She identified the 7 values that are on the front of your order of service today. Tricia Lewis took these values and she designed the cover that is on your front of your service. Dr. Johnston encourages us to use these values to reimagine our society based on compassion, generosity, love, and inclusion.
Thank you, Mary. Your voice gives life. Indigenous ways are rooted in sharing and reciprocity. We are all kin to one another and connected to all living things. Let us go in peace with compassion, gratitude, and our love in hearts. Bama Mai Nigaji.
I'm Gregory Mason. It's time for some announcements. The deadline for paper raise right orders is today. See me if you need a form. Also, I hope you didn't put it in the collection plate if you've already done it. Give them directly to me. Anyway, a number of announcements from our Social Justice Committee. Water is sacred. Our social justice and eighth principle committees, along with the Racine Public Library and several other organizations, are co-sponsoring a month-long exhibit at the Racine Public Library on fossil fuels' impact on the environment, health, and indigenous communities. This Tuesday, October 14th, the award-winning documentary on Bad River in northern Wisconsin is being shown at 5:30 in the community room at the Racine Public Library. This documentary focuses on the impact of the Enbridge oil pipeline on the Bad River Band's sovereignty and shows environmental damage occurring and how the Bad River tribe is fighting back. Leaks can threaten all our Great Lakes. Our committees are also sponsoring a free art project promoting the use of recycled canvas bags on Saturday, October 25th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Racine Public Library. Milwaukee artist Susan Biatila, how do you say that? Okay, close enough, I guess, has shared an original design on protecting our Great Lakes. The canvas bags will have this design on them, and fabric paints and indigenous designs will be available for you to individualize your bag. No cost to attend, and you just have a reusable bag for carrying your groceries. Reduce plastic. Join us. The Social Justice Committee and other groups are sponsoring a special theater project on the overuse of solitary confinement in Wisconsin. It's called Like an Animal in a Cage. It is being written and performed by people who have been incarcerated and spent time in solitary confinement. OBUUC member Nancy Gibson is the director. The performance will be at 7 p.m. on Friday, November 14th in Erman Hall. A talkback and reception will follow. Tickets will be available for $10 in advance. All proceeds will go to support the Joshua Glover Justice Bail Fund. Volunteers are needed to help set up and take down chairs for the performance and help set up for the reception following. Please see Diane Lang to volunteer for this special project on Friday, November 14th. Saturday, October 25th, will be the celebration of life for Shirley Reynolds here in the sanctuary. Visitation will be at 10 a.m., followed by the service at 11, and then a reception to follow in Erman Hall. Halloween Fun Night is Saturday, November 1st. If you need to reference the monthly Unifier email, there is a link in each Sunday's email that will take you to it. Be sure to check your monthly and weekly emails for more information on some of these announcements, along with community events and other news that are not announced here in church. Thank you to our volunteers today, our ushers, Andrea Bumpers and Pamela Smiley, our Zoom host, Maria Scott, and our coffee hour host, Christy Dominowski and Suzanne Landis. That's all for announcements. Please join us for coffee in Erman Hall. If you are on YouTube, log into Zoom for your coffee hour. The link is in today's email.